Hello, everyone. Good morning to you, and I'm so thrilled to be with you here this morning as we start another episode of our weekly price action based technical analysis. So, as usual, today we are going to be delving into a detailed analysis of a handful of instruments which we have been monitoring since the beginning of the week. And these are the USDJPY, the XAUUSD, the USOilSPOT, and the GBPUSD. So we have been monitoring this instrument since the beginning of the week. We had some couple of losses, we had some profits, but most importantly, the market has been very, very choppy. Though we had some tractions as regards to the US dollar yesterday across most of the major pairs in the financial market. So we are going to be looking at how price action has been reacting to current market structures. We are also going to be looking at how the fundamental factors has also been affected how price action has been moving. So get ready, get prepared for an insightful session. And for those who are joining us for the first time, you are also welcome on board. And what we simply do here is to gather here every morning in anticipation of both the London and the New York session, analyzing the 1 hour time frame from a technical standpoint to identify potential trading opportunities ahead of the London and New York session. So we have a handful of instruments we have been monitoring, and weekends like this I normally do a top-down analysis on this instrument, which will prepare us for the new week, after which we come here on a daily basis to do a follow-up detail on this instrument. I have the link to the top-down analysis right in the description box of this current video, so if you want to watch it, you might want to click on these links after the live session. And it's also very important that you watch them, as it will give you a background knowledge or an idea of how we got to the current market structure we are analyzing on the 1 hour time frame. And at the same time, it will also help you to be able to make your independent decision when you're about to make your own trade. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the business for today. And as usual, I saw some comments here. I saw Adam Ishak. Adam, good morning to you. It's been a while since I saw you. Trust you are doing well. Miracle Meditation, thank you very much for the support. I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much, guys. And so we are going to be diving right into the business, like I said earlier. But the first thing we normally do is to ensure that we keep tabs with the fundamentals by checking the economic calendar to look out for high impact macroeconomic events that majority in the market will be looking forward to. And this information also helps us to be able to position ourselves ahead, during, and post the event. So we are going to be looking at the economic calendar, but it's quite obvious that we really do not have any high impact event that will be affecting any of the currency pairs that we are monitoring for this week. Besides that one, I would like to I had to pull out some other economic factors, which is actually having a major impact on the US dollar. And one of them is the anticipation of investors and traders as regards to the Federal Reserve's policy meeting, which is coming up next week. So majority are still not very concise as regards to what the decision is going to be like, based on the mixed data we have been witnessing across from the US economic docket in the last couple of weeks. Then in terms of the economic data yesterday, we saw a trade deficit rose in April for the dollar, for the US, which wasn't that significant, but it was higher than the expected value, which is also a very positive sign for the dollar. And I think we have been seeing some traction as regards to that. Then another thing here is that we are expecting that the Federal Reserve is going to be releasing the result of its latest stress test on the 23 major banks in the US. I think this is going to be released today or tomorrow, I think. And this is another level of tension in the financial market at this point in time, as majority are not sure what is going to really be happening. So this is another thing that we also need to take into consideration too as well. And there are expectations of tightened capital standards for banks, which could potentially lead to more bank mergers in the US. So these are things that are affecting price action behind the scenes. And we also want to use, while we review the current market structure, we want to keep in mind of these economic factors while we look at the chart from a technical standpoint. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the business. So as usual, the first commodity we are going to be looking at this morning is going to be the US oil spot. Hold on a second. I need to calibrate my chart so that we can have a better view here. Please help confirm that you can see me and hear my voice clearly without distortion, as this will help me to be sure that things are actually going on fine. And if there is a need for me to do some adjustment, I will be able to do them at the right time. So I will appreciate some feedback, please, as regards to that. Okay, so the first commodity we are going to be looking at this morning is going to be the US oil spot. And on the US oil spot, we though we had some buy positions during the New York session, I think prior to the New York session yesterday, we had some buy positions, and we saw how price didn't really move that much, as we saw the breakout of our key level at the $72 area here, which gave us the first buy position for yesterday. And then we also saw another buy position at the breakout of the $72.50 level. And if you look at the nature of the price action recently, you will see that price action has been quite choppy since the breakout of the $72.50 level. And one thing I saw here is that buyers are still struggling to dictate the pace in this market, though we haven't seen a situation where price has been finding higher lows in this market. But it appears that since price action tested the $73.20 level, we are yet to see that traction that will really push price to the upside, which is a level of concern at this particular point in time. Then remember yesterday that we acknowledged and identified a bullish trend line, which we said we are going to be using to guide our trading activity. And what we did was to connect a series of higher lows since Tuesday, and this was what we were able to come up with. So we had an ascending trend line which has been supporting this bullish momentum since the beginning of the week. And for the fact that price action still remains above this trend line, it is quite reasonable that we want to continue to hold on to a bullish bias in this market. And I shared an update this morning on my TradingView platform and on my Telegram platform. So let's run through the TradingView platform here to see what my commentaries were this morning as regards to the US oil spot. So hold on a second, trying to load up my chart. All right, so this is how we have been managing our position on the US oil spot so far this week. Remember, at the beginning of the week we had some sell positions which gave us some profit before we started seeing higher lows in this market. And this was where we identified the trend line, where we had positions triggered during the New York session yesterday. And this morning I shared this update here. I said the buy position has been activated, that is above the $72.50 level one more time. I think this will be the second time price action will be activated above the $72.50 level. And it seems that buyers are steadily building momentum this morning. Our primary reference point for today's trading activity is the bullish trend line, as we keep an eye out for additional opportunities at the breakout retest of this $73.20 level. However, if the trend line breaks down and is retested, it may indicate a potential selling opportunity. So we will delve into this topic extensively during our live session this morning. So that was my commentary here this morning as regards to the US oil spot. And if you look at what we have here, price action still remains right around that entry point at the 72.50 level. So for me here, it's still looking very, very dicey here. And if we go to as far back as the beginning of the week, where we acknowledge that price action was initially choppy, where it was ranging between the $73.40 level and the $72.50 area before we had that first sell position at the beginning of the week, and compare it to what we have now, you will see that price action remains within that range where it started the week. And at this point in time, you will see that price is still consolidating around that area to further emphasize that there seems to be a level of selling pressure around this zone. So we want to be very, very mindful of that. And if we begin to see signs that sellers are coming in, like probably shooting star candles, continued selling pressure around this area, then we don't want to ignore the signs, and we want to act on them as quickly as possible to take advantage of a potential bearish move to the downside. So at this point in time, we will continue to monitor price action along the $72.50 level, though we have a buy position running right now, and it's still running with about, I think, about a pips thereabout, and we still have not really gotten that traction that we need around this area to give us that significant sign that we want to be going bullish here. But as long as price action remains above this bullish trend line, we feel comfortable in this position and wait out for more opportunities if price action breaks out of that $73.20 level here to add more position to our existing trade. So let's see how price action plays out on this one. Our stop losses should be around the $72 area, which is our key level. And one thing I would like us to note here is that if it so happens that we were taken out of this position at any point in time and price action breaks down this bearish trend line, then at this point we want to start considering selling the US Oil Spot. And one of the reasons why we will consider that too as well is because of the strong selling niche that we have been seeing here. So if it persists and leads to the breakdown of that trend line, then we'll have no other choice than to get ready to sell. Now, there's one thing about selling the US Oil Spot at this point. When we do have a breakdown of that bullish trend line, we are not going to be having a sell stop order below that structure outrightly. We want to wait for confirmations like retest of structure, reversal patterns, double top, head and shoulder patterns, or rising wedge to give us a sign that sellers are gradually gaining momentum. And this will be observed duly on the 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes time frame, your lower time frame to be specific, to look out for these patterns. So following the breakdown of the key level of this trend line, we want to see something like a retest of structure, continued selling pressure where we see signs that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above that trend line. Then at this point, we can start considering selling and then have a sell stop order below the $72 level to join the bearish move to the downside. So that is how we are going to be selling the US Oil Spot for today. So we are waiting for a breakdown to happen before selling, but as long as price action remains above that bullish trend line, we have no other choice than to maintain our bullish bias in this market. So let's see how price action plays out going forward, and trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform to give you updates as at when due. So that is that on the US Oil Spot. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I'm willing to be of help in that regard. I can see your comments. Kiza Lauben, good morning to you, and thank you very much for that confirmation. I really do appreciate that. So with that being said here, and in the absence of no questions, I want to assume we're on the same page. So I will be moving on to the next instrument that we are monitoring for this week. And the next one we are looking at is the GBPUSD. Well, on the GBPUSD, we have an interesting structure here on this chart. As you can see that since the beginning of the week, we really have not gotten any traction as regards to price movement to the upside or to the downside, though we had some moments where we sold the GBPUSD, and we also had moments where we bought the GBPUSD. So let's run through how the week started for us on the GBPUSD, and let's see how we intend to take advantage of a potential trading opportunity today. So now the first thing that happened this week was the fact that price started the week on a bearish note. As we saw, it started at around the 1.24590. This was exactly where price action started. Then it dropped into this area at the 1.24250 area, giving us a beautiful flat channel, a beautiful range to work with for the week. And you know how we do it whenever we have this kind of simple flat channel. We want to wait patiently for structures to mature before we want to be buying or selling. And what we look out for whenever we find this kind of situation is for price action to either break out of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or break down of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. And if you remember vividly, on Monday we had a sell position triggered prior to our live session, which I told you I actually missed because I was still I was not on chart by this time this one happened. And I told us all that there is a likelihood that price could come back and retest that structure. And at this point, we were thinking that selling momentum would be the order for the week, as we saw price action come back to retest structure, giving us an opportunity to sell here. So we sold below the key level. We sold again at the breakdown of the 1.24250 into this area before the wave of bullish momentum began here. And then during our live session yesterday, I acknowledged the fact that price action has been finding higher lows in this market, as we saw here how every attempt by the sellers to break down this level has been met with strong resistance from the buyers, hereby giving us a higher low. And when we start seeing series of higher lows in the market, what does this tell us? It tells us that price, a bullish momentum is gradually building up behind the scenes, and as a result of that, we want to be anticipating that. And what I made mention here yesterday to capture this bullish move is for us to see price action break above our key level, which is situated at the 1.2440 area, which you can see here. So this was our key level at the beginning of the week. And for those who are not part of our first week, I would advise you to watch my video on the GBPUSD. The link is right in the description box of this current video you are watching, so that you can have a background knowledge of how we got to identify that key level and how we were supposed to use it as a yardstick to guide our trading activity for this week. So this was what we were looking out for, a breakout of that structure. So we had a buy stop order above the 1.244 level, which was around here, and we saw how price action moved significantly well in our favor, moved about 60 pips thereabout before this whole sell pressure began. Then I remember I told you that we are going to also have a buy stop order above the 1.24590 area for us to be part of another opportunity to maximize the bullish potential in that market. And as you can see, price moved very well before the sell pressure began. And you know how we do it here. Whenever price action moves significantly well in our favor, the next thing we want to be doing is to move all stop losses to secure that position. And if you had done that correctly, you would have been taken out with a small profit or a worst case scenario break even at this point. So during the live session, after price action dropped, we saw a choppy situation, and I think I shared something before I went to bed yesterday after citing this multiple rejection of the 1.24250, as I saw here that this might likely be the culmination of the retracement of this impulsive move, where we might be looking forward to another wave of bullish momentum. So I would like to share with you what I said here yesterday night on my public platforms on the GBPUSD. Kiza Lauben says that I should share my Telegram link. Well, my Telegram ID is scrolling at the bottom of your screen right now, and if you need the link, you will find it in the description box of this current video you are watching, so you can check it out to navigate yourself into my channel on Telegram. Okay, so I was saying something here that I shared an update here during late last night before I went to bed yesterday, that okay, where is it? Okay, this is it right here. So I said here that the buy position has been closed with a slight profit as the price action unfolds. As a result, we will exercise patience and closely monitor how the price responds to the key level located at the 1.2440 for our next line of action. Now it went on like that, and they continued buy pressure above the 1.24250 here. This was what I shared yesterday night. So I said buy stop up, buy breakout retest of the key level, had more position at the breakout retest of the 1.24590. And if you look at what has been happening now, if you are taking advantage of that opportunity, we had a breakout of structure here, giving us our first buy position in the last 24 hours. And we also saw another one here, which has already been triggered right now. So on the GBPUSD, we have two positions running at this point, where the first position is running with about 25 pips in profit, and the second position is running with about 8 pips to 9 pips in profit at this point. So things are looking very bullish at this point in time. So we continue to hold on to a bullish bias in this market. So let's see how price action plays out from this current market structure. And for me personally, my TP target is around the 1.256, which will be dovetailing to about, let me see how many pips is that from the first. Okay, about 120 pips from the first position here, and from the second position it's about 100 pips roughly. So I'm looking at 250 pips roughly on the GBPUSD today. So let's see if this bullish momentum will continue to the upside. Then one more thing that I want to identify on this chart that we are going to be using as a yardstick to guide this bullish momentum is a trend line. And look at what we have here since yesterday. You will see after this touch, we saw a deviation from this trend line. We saw a new higher low here. Then we have another new higher low here. So what we are going to be doing now is to bring out our line chart and connect the series of these higher lows together and use it to guide the trend continuation to the upside for today. So I would like to bolden this a little bit so that it will emphasize the level of its importance at this particular juncture. So this is what we have right now. So you can mark this out on your chart. We are going to be using this to guide our trading activity for today, or you can as well screenshot my screen if you want to guide our trading activity for today. So what this simply means is that as long as price action remains above this trend line, we'll feel comfortable in our buy position, while we also look out for more opportunities to add more position to our existing trade. So let's see how this plays out going forward at this point. Now, in as much as we are looking out for buying opportunity, you know how we do it here. We always want to keep our options open and be on standby for anything that happens in the market. The financial market is a very fluid environment, and for us to be profitable and consistent about it, we want to also be as flexible as possible to capture anything that the market wants to give us. Now, in as much as we are looking out for buying opportunity here, we also want to take note of the potentials the sellers also have in this market. Now, if we are going to be selling the GBPUSD today, what do we want to see on this chart that will make us change our bias from bullish to bearish? Well, the only thing I will say here is that since we already have a trend line which is going to be guiding our bullish momentum going forward, the only thing that will make us sell is to see price action break down this trend line. And remember that if price action breaks down the trend line, it doesn't mean that we want to be selling outrightly. It doesn't mean that we want to have a sell stop order below the trend line, as we'll still need some confirmation to happen before we want to join. And one of the reasons why we'll need confirmation is the fact that since the beginning of the week, we have been citing higher lows. In fact, since last week, we have been citing higher lows. So if I zoom out a little bit so you can see what is going on here, you will see that we have a beautiful bullish trend line here, which has consistently been respected since Thursday of last week's trading session to emphasize the level of buying strength in this market. So if we are going to see price break down that trend line, definitely we want to see confirmations that sellers are actually gaining some momentum. And what we want to see here to give us a confirmation to join is when the breakdown happens, we scale down into our lower time frame and look out for retest of structures, something like a retest of either the 1.24590 level or the trend line that was broken itself, and we start looking out for selling pressure below the structure, confirming that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above the trend line. And if this happens, then at this point we want to get ready to sell. Look out for selling opportunities, then have your sell stop order below the key level to maximize more trading opportunities in this market. So that is the only way we are going to be looking out for selling opportunities today on the GBPUSD. But as long as price action remains above that bullish trend line, we'll feel comfortable in our buy position while we also look out for more opportunities to buy the GBPUSD. But at this time, things are looking very bullish. But if anything strange happens, trust me, I will be with you right in the comment section of both my trading view and Telegram platform to give you updates as at when due. So that is my view here on the GBPUSD for today. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. Now, I also want to state here that for those who had bought above the key level here, that if you had bought above the 1.2440 level, I want you to move your stop loss right now to your entry point, secure that position while we wait out and see how price action plays out in the next couple of hours. So I wish you best of luck on that one. If you have questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be moving on to the next option while I check the comment section to see if there are any questions. So the next instrument we are going to be looking at this morning is going to be the USDJPY. And on the USDJPY, since the beginning of the week, we sold the GBPUSD initially at the beginning of the week after price action broke down our weekly key level at the 140.00 area. Let me quickly share with you how the week went by for us on the USDJPY before we go into the details for today. So this was where the week started on the USDJPY. It was actually a bullish momentum initially, where we saw price actions broke out of our key level, had the 140.0 level. So for those who still don't understand how I got my key level, please watch the video on the USDJPY. Is right in the description box of the current video so that you can have an idea of how we got to this point. So we saw the buy pressure above that key level at the beginning of the week. Then we saw a choppy situation where price action was trapped within this range, giving us a flat channel to work with for the week. And you know how we do it whenever we have this kind of structure. Let me zoom in so that we can see things clearly. You know how we do it whenever we have this kind of flat channel. We want to wait for either a breakout or breakdown of the channel for an opportunity to buy or sell. And prior to our live session on Monday, we saw the breakout of the structure, and then we were hoping that price action will come back to retest that level to incite another wave of bullish momentum. Though we had the privilege of buying at that point, but we were taking out in a loss on Monday on the USDJPY, and since then price action has been dropping to the downside. And with a sell stop order below the key level here at the 140.00 level, we had our first sell position triggered. We rode the move all the way to the downside. Price action came back to retest again, another opportunity to sell. We rode it all the way. And as a result of this whole situation here, we had a bearish trend line after connecting the series of lower highs, which we said we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for the later part of the week. And how we are going to be using that was that as long as price action remain below the bearish trend line, we want to be looking out for selling opportunities. But if price breaks out of the trend line, obviously we are going to be buying the USDJPY. So this was our agreement yesterday. And during the live session yesterday, we acknowledged the continued buy pressure around this area. So what I said here yesterday is that we are going to be having a sell stop order below the 139.150, where we want to be looking out for opportunities to sell. We had a sell stop order triggered, which triggered, and then price action snapped back, taking us out, and we hit our stop loss on that one. And after that, we saw our buy position triggered here at the 139.650. You know, we all placed these orders during the live session yesterday to ensure that we take advantage of any opportunities that happen. So that trigger moved. We also had a trigger here at the key level at the 140.00 level. And for the first buy position here, we saw our price moved about 60 pips in our favor, and the second one moved about 25 pips in our favor. And I told us all here that we are going to be moving our stop loss. If you've been following me on my TradingView and Telegram platform, that we are going to be securing our position, which we did, moving our stop losses accordingly. And you saw what happened before the morning today. We saw the breakdown. Price action broke down our key level, taking us out of all our buy positions with a small profit. At least we were able to recoup the loss we made earlier on that one. And since then, price action has been a little bit choppy, caught within a range between the 140. Let me zoom this in so that you can see things clearly here. So you can see how price action has remained choppy since yesterday evening, caught within this range between the 140.00 level and the 139.650 area to give us insight into the level of indecision in this particular market. And I shared an update this morning on the USDJPY. Let's run through it quickly. And okay, this is my trading view. And hold on a second. Let's run through my comments this morning. So okay, here we go. So I said here that all buy positions were closed with a slight profit as the price action fell below our weekly key level at the 140.00. Hence, our primary attention will now be on the range between the 140.00 and the 139.650, as any development within this range will shape our subsequent course of action. Now, let's go back into the live chart and see what I'm actually talking about here. Now, before I detail this range I'm talking about here, I want us to acknowledge the range where price action was at the beginning of the week, which was within the 140.250 and the 140.00 area. And remember, the key level is our 140.00 level, and you know how we use our key level to guide our positions. As long as price remain below our key level, we want to feel comfortable in our sell positions and also look out for opportunities to sell. But if price breaks out of our key level, we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that will be supporting buying opportunity. Now, if you look at this current USDJPY chart, you will see that since the beginning of the week, most of the time this week, price action had remained below our key level. Now, we had a range at the beginning of the week between the 140.250 and the 140.00 area where price action was initially ranging before we saw the breakdown of that structure. And the same exact thing happened within the later part of the New York session and this morning. And as you can see, we saw that same range happen. It's also happened here. And for me, what this tells me is that there is a level of selling pressure around this area, which has been negating all attempt by the buyers to break out of that structure. And for the fact that price action has dropped below our key level, it's a beautiful opportunity for us to sell. And for the fact that this breakdown happened in the middle of the night, I missed out on that opportunity. But if you are taking advantage of that opportunity, that's a very good advantage you have taken right there to be part of a bearish move. And if you have a sell position running right now, you want to be moving your stop losses to the entry point where you took advantage of that move at the 140.00 level. Now, at this point in time, how do we intend to maximize the bearish momentum here? So we already have a channel which I stated earlier between the 140. So let me zoom in. Let me come back to where our center of focus is going to be for today. And that is between the 140.00 and the 139.650. So this is where we are going to be focusing on for today. And you know how we do it whenever we have this kind of simple flat channel. We want to wait patiently for structures to mature where price action could either break out of the resistance line for buying opportunity. That is, if price breaks above the 140.00 level, we look out for buying opportunity. But if price action drops below the support line at the 139.650 level, we look out for selling opportunities. So with the situation we have here, let's have a sell stop order below the 139.650 so that we can capture that bearish move to the downside. And if a retest happens and price action continues to the downside, we look out for more opportunities to add more position. Of course, I will be with you in the comment section to give you updates as at when due. However, there is a caveat to this current structure here, and that is this trend line that was broken yesterday. Remember, we had a trend line here which was broken. This trend line was supporting the bearish momentum since the beginning of the week. So we saw the breakout of the trend line, and you all know from a technical standpoint that whenever price action breaks out of a trend line like this, we expect that price is likely going to come back, retest that structure in anticipation of another wave. So in as much as we are looking out for selling opportunities below the 139.650 here, we want to be mindful of this trend line too as well. So we are going to be mindful of the 139.400, and we're also going to be mindful of the 139.150, as depending on how price action reacts to this level will determine if we are going to be adding more sell position or getting ready for another wave of bullish momentum. So let's keep this in mind, and trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform to give you updates as at when due. However, in as much as we're looking out for selling opportunities below the 139.650, we cannot ignore the potentials of buyers. Of course, we saw a bullish engulfing candle yesterday, and there is a likelihood that this could turn out to be an opportunity to continue to the upside, since we had a breakout of that trend line. Now, with this situation we have here, this might likely turn out to be a retracement of that bullish momentum. So if this turns out to be a double bottom structure where the key level at 140 turns out to be the neckline, then we want to see a breakout retest before we join the bullish momentum to the upside. So that is how we are going to be buying the USDJPY for today. So let's see how price action plays out in the next couple of hours, and trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform to give you updates as at when due. So that is my view on the USDJPY. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. I see your comment, Victor Saihami. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Okay. All right. I'm very glad that you find the information very useful, and I hope to be of more value to you as well. All right. Thank you for the compliment. Okay, so we are going to be moving on to the last pair for today, which is the XAUUSD, and I shared something interesting on the structure this morning on this pair. So we had a very volatile price movement yesterday, and during our live session yesterday, we acknowledged, remember, we had a buy position at the beginning of the week. We are profitable on the XAUUSD initially at the beginning of the week when we bought. At this point, we bought here, we added more position here, then we added another one here to maximize the potential of this bullish move. Now, one thing we deliberated on yesterday about this structure was the fact that we saw how as soon as price action got into that area around the 1,966 level, we saw how this we saw this choppy situation, we saw a consolidation phase, giving us an insight into the level of indecision in this market. And you know what I said here yesterday? I said that we are going to remain patient, waiting for structures to mature before we join. And in order to do this, I told us all to have a buy stop order above the 1,966 and a sell stop order below the 1,955 to catch any of the breakouts of the structure. And look at what happened here. We saw the breakout of the resistance line at the 1,966 to trigger our buy position, and price action moved about 43 pips in our favor before this huge engulfing bearish candle took us out of that position. Well, if you are smart enough and you had moved your stop loss, well, you might have been taken out on at a worst case scenario break even. But for me, I was out. I left the screen, though I set my stop losses. I was taken out on a stop loss on that one, so I had a loss on that first buy position there. Then we saw our price action drop to the downside again, triggering our sell stop order just right below the key level, and then we saw our price action move significantly in our favor, over 150 pips in our favor, making me to actually recoup that loss I made on that first buy position. So it was quite an interesting scenario here, and I do hope you moved your stop losses, and if you had moved your stop losses, you would have been taken out of your sell positions at this particular point in time. And I shared an update on the XAUUSD this morning. Let's run through what my thought process are as regards to our plans on the XAUUSD this morning. So this was my publication here on the XAUUSD. So I will just scroll right down into what I said here. So this was my commentary this morning on the XAUUSD. So I said here that all selling positions have been closed and the price movement has entered a phase of consolidation. It is important to be patient at this point. I will provide an update on a shorter time frame shortly. So I did something quickly on the 30 minutes time frame. Sorry, it was a 30 minutes time frame here, where I was able to identify a range between the 1,948 and the 1,940 area, where we saw our price action has been ranging around that level, giving us a level of indecision, and we could likely see a reversal pattern or a trend continuation pattern from the structure. So going back into the live chart here, so I will go into that chart I just shared with you. All right, so it was actually on the 30 minutes time frame. So I will just zoom into the 30 minutes, and it appears I already have a buy stop order triggered here. So this is the setup I have here, and in addition to that range, I was able to spot higher lows here, giving me a bullish trend line, which we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for today. So as long as price action remains above that trend line, we want to feel comfortable in our buy positions, while we also look out for more opportunities to add more position to our existing trade. So with this whole setup we have here, I had a buy stop order above the 1,948 to capture that move, and it appears buy position has been triggered. So we want to have our stop losses just right below the trend line, which will be dovetailing to about 45 to a maximum of about 50 pips on that one, and let's see how far this bullish momentum will go. Personally, I have my TP target at the 1,980, but you can have it at the 1,970, which will be dovetailing to about 220 pips, which is not bad at all. Let's see how far this momentum will go. So I'm looking forward to price action breakout of the 1,948 to continue to the upside here. But if at any point in time during the London and New York session today, we see price action take us out of our buy position and leading into a situation where price drops below this bullish trend line, then at this point we want to start considering selling, where this whole structure here could transition into a trend continuation pattern to the downside. And if this happens, I want to scale down to my lower time frame, 5, 10 or 15 minutes time frame, to look out for retest. It could be the retest of this trend line, retest of this 1,948, but most importantly, I want to see selling pressures, signs that buyers are finding it difficult to climb above. Then at this point, I want to consider selling. Then have a sell stop order again below the 1,940 to maximize the potential of this bearish momentum to the downside. So this is how I'm going to be trading the XAUUSD today. So we have a simple structure to guide our trading activity. We have a range, we have a trend line, and as long as price remains above the trend line, we feel comfortable in the buy position. And if price action drops below the trend line, we definitely want to be looking out for selling opportunities. So that is that on the XAUUSD today. So you can screenshot my screen or mark this out on your chart, then wait out for structures to mature before we want to be part of any potential opportunity. So it has been a wonderful moment with you guys this morning, and we were able to look at the XAUUSD, GBPUSD, USDJPY, and the USOilSPOT, and we were able to identify simple setups that we are going to be using to guide our trading activity during the London and New York session today. And trust me, I will be with you in the comment section as always to give you update as at when due, as we also continue to monitor price action. I wish you best of luck today, and do have a wonderful afternoon. Bye-bye.